And now, here's your host of Shaping Success, Wes Tankersley.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to Shaping Success. I'm your host, Wes Tankersley. Back again for another morning coffee. A couple days off. Not really days off is what I would say. I just didn't do 2 episodes Monday, Tuesday. Yesterday, we had an episode with Robert Watson going through his book. We're in the 4th chapter. Super cool book. It's coming out middle of the month, and excited to get to share that with you because it really talks about a lot of things that go along the lines of what shaping success is. Man, I can hear it in my voice. Starting to lose it. We've had, my son has been not feeling well for a couple days, and I woke up this morning with like a little bit of a sore throat on the right-hand side, which is kind of funny, but it'll get better. But I didn't realize that my voice was sounding the way that it was. Hey, if you are in the Treasure Valley and you are looking to refinance because interest rates are going down and they should continue to go down over the next couple months, Sean Loveland at Castle Cooke would love to help you out. He is a sponsor of the show. He is licensed in Oregon and Idaho. 208-447-7205. Check out Sean, and he will help you get refinanced. Great guy. I've been looking at refinancing the house right now just because the interest rates are going down. So go check it out. If you're joining us on TikTok, thanks for hanging out. We are live on YouTube, Facebook. I need to hook it into Instagram. I keep saying that. I haven't done it yet. We'll get her done. If you want to get in on the conversation, you can get over to the YouTube, and that is where I try to spend the most of the time because we're trying to grow the YouTube. So if you haven't subscribed to YouTube, go check it out. Anyway, as I said, I've been traveling for a couple days. I went down to Houston Sunday, got back on Tuesday. It was really quick, fly-by-night type of deal. Visited a friend and had a couple things going on. And it's funny how things happen. But the day before, I was talking to my other friend, Chuck. I had gone down and saw him, picked up a snowplow for the 4-wheeler, and we were talking back and forth, and we always bounce books off each other. And he told me about this book. He's like, I want you to read. He goes, have you read this book yet? And I'm like, nope. The book is called Who Moved My Cheese? Funny name. He goes, don't laugh at it. He goes, it's just funny. Really fits into your situation, it sounds like. And it was pretty hilarious at first. I'm like, okay, who moved my cheese? That's an interesting concept. And I think you should check it out. Like if you are struggling with things, if you have issues, if you have things seem to be changing all the time, you don't know how to deal with it. It's funny how you have choices on the way that you deal with things. And as simple as it sounds, the book is talking about 4 things or 4 people. I'm sure you would do, Nikki. It's talking about 4 people, and these 4 people are in this maze. And there's 2 little people and two mice. And it's kind of a metaphor about how life can be. And if you think about it, the mice have tiny little brains and people have big thinking brains. And the reality is that we're driven by things, right? You could be, adrenaline driven, you could be food driven, you could be whatever it is, you could be searching for that dopamine hit, whatever you got to do. Anyway, in the beginning, there's 2 little people and 2 mice. Excuse me. And what they're doing is they're running around and they're trying to find the cheese, right? There's cheese throughout this little maze or whatever. You just picture these mice and these people running out through this maze. And the mice use their nose and they sniff and they don't think critically. They just go around a corner. They bump into, they can't go anywhere. They turn around, they go back and they keep searching and they keep searching and they keep searching. They find the cheese. They're there. They're good. They get released in the same place every single day. They go find their cheese. And the little people figure out that the cheese is in the same place every single day. And so when they go back to this cheese, they get there and they're like, you know what? Why do we not just build a home right next to this cheese? Because it's here and it's always here and it's always going to be there. And then they start to get comfortable, right? And the mice, they're always looking for it every single day. Well, they're eating the cheese, and the cheese, these little people, they're eating the cheese and they keep eating it. And all of a sudden they run out. The cheese isn't there anymore. And they have to decide how to navigate that. And the mice, they just go looking again. They keep looking. And the two people, they just sit there and they hang out. And they go back and forth about like this. I can't believe the cheese is gone. Where is the cheese? The cheese will come back. Whatever. Instead of like being proactive about it and going and finding more, they're just like, get comfortable. They don't run around the maze anymore. It's not a big deal to them. And then they start fighting back and forth amongst each other. And one of them decides that I'm so comfortable here, it's going to come back. I'm going to hang out here. And the other one said, screw this. I'm going to go find it. I'm going to go look for it. And it was tough for him to go find it and go look for it. But he got up. He went and found it in a different place. But as he was doing it, he was constantly reminding himself, hey, this is what we need to do. This is where we need to go. And the cheese is kind of like a metaphor for life, right? People move things around on you. They change things for you. They make your life different. They do the things. And you have two choices. You can be pissed off and gripe and whine and be mad about it. Or you can go out there and you can figure out a way to make it better and take it in your own hands. And so a lot of my life I've thought about like how it's someone else's fault that something goes a certain way. And, the last 5 years have been like the most eye-opening for me in my life because I have thought through so many different scenarios, read so many books, opened my eyes to a lot of things that are going on, figured out who I am, why I am the way that I am, what I'm trying to do. And that mountain, it always kept, the cheese always kept getting moved, right? And I have always adapted and I've always overcome. And I've adapted so many times that I'm like, what do you do, right? What do you do? At what point do you not start moving the cheese yourself? And so that's kind of the choice that you have if you're in a job you hate, if you're in a relationship you hate, and they keep changing the standards on you and they keep changing the way that things are going. It never helps to just sit there and be pissed off. It never helps to not try to work on being better. It never helps to just be grouchy about it. What's it going to do? What good does it do you to be in that headspace when somebody moves your cheese? So you have to take matters into your own hands and figure out how to find it. And the moral of that story was that the cheese is still there. It's just in a different place. And you have two choices. You can sit there and gripe and moan about it, or you can go figure out. So you can either adapt and overcome, or you can just be in a shitty place. Now, that's a really abbreviated version of that story, but I think you should check it out. It's a really short book. It's pretty good. And if you relate that to your life, it'll be... Nikki. Nikki's cutting the cheese over there, but yeah, you can cut the cheese and make more cheese. Something else that we were doing yesterday, we did the motivational music hour. If you haven't checked that out, we're actually going to do it next week. We did 2 weeks in a row. And we were listening to a song, and one of the lines in the song was, the top of every mountain is the bottom of another, is the bottom of another. Okay. And I think that a lot of times with goals, like in my mind, for me, and this was one of the songs that Nikki picked out and was listening to, and I was listening to the words, and I think that a lot of things that we always do is like, we're like, okay, we've got that goal. There's nothing more to do. And that line just kind of pushed me to think, just because you have reached that goal doesn't mean that that's the end of the line. Like, you can't go any further. And I don't want to wake up a day where I don't have goals to be better or do more. And I'll tell you, I'm working on something, and it's amazing to see all the things happening and falling in place. POD. Yep, that's right. All the things that are falling in place. And it's because I don't look at it as a barrier. Like, I'm trying to find a way around it, and I'm never quitting trying to find a way around it. Like, I have the choice of, like, this is just not going to work, or keep pushing and find another way. And if it doesn't work the way that I'm trying to make it happen, I'll try another way. But I think that ever evolving, ever changing, ever trying to be better at whatever you're doing is one of those things that we lose sight in. And we give up too easy, too soon. Yesterday, Robert and I talked about in his book how he had two choices. Like, he had written this book, and over a year ago, we started talking about doing a podcast about the book, about the chapters in it, the essays, the things that he's going through, which I think are really meaningful things. And he had written the book out, he got it all set, and then all of a sudden his computer erased it. He couldn't find it. He had no version of it, the draft that he was working on. And he was freaking out a little bit, didn't know what to do, kind of laughed about it, and went right back into finding the other pieces of the book and putting it back together. And that is the choice that you have, right? Like, you have the choice of, hey, you know what? I could have just quit. I could have just not done it, and I could have just moved along, or I could try again. So my challenge to you today is to go out there and figure out what it is that, maybe you had done something, and maybe you believe in it, and maybe it really in your heart is what you need to do, but you have to be willing to continue to plunge on, to push through it, to keep going. Okay. I've got some things going on that, I will talk more about soon, but things are falling into place. And those things fall into place because I continue and refuse to quit moving forward. So that's what I got for you today. I mean, I know it's a little bit shorter, but those are the thoughts that are on my mind. And I want you to think about it. The top of every mountain is the bottom of another mountain. So figure out what you want to do. Figure out what your goals are. When you get to the top, you're not done. Because if you're done, you're over it. Think about the guy who thought that the cheese was going to come back. It's not. So remember that. Go out there today. If you haven't checked out the book, Who Moved My Cheese, and you're in kind of one of those situations, I'll tell you what, it's a really good book. You should check it out. You'll love it. Until next time, I challenge you to find the shape of your success.